It's bonus episode night at the bitter end. On our regular nights, we use the website at random.org, and we get directed to a bottle, and we open it.
I love bonus episodes.
But bonus episodes, what's different on the bonus episode night?
Bonus episode is something that we have pre-chosen, or pre-agreed to drink, or you have decided you wanted to drink.
Yeah, but what we have to go with is again, right? So bonus episodes, with the exception of the Robert Burns bottle,
correct,
is not a bottle that we're opening. It's a bottle that's been opened, that we've had, and it just hasn't been on the series. And it's a bottle that doesn't exist on the shelves in the bar in any other place, so that it can't be picked randomly. So these will be, at times, a little more rare.
Rare being the obvious word there.
Yeah, right.
However,
not necessarily delicious.
But I will say it does sit on the shelf, just not on the shelves that we pick from.
Yeah. and of course, and we have our teammate of many years, Chatty Matty, in the house with us, joining us for our bonus episode.
We have a guest.
It's awesome to see
he
him.
Gets to partake in this wonderful journey that me and Colin have taken part in,
yep.
Otherwise known as All Day.
Yeah, all day. Yeah.
We're gonna keep it going, buddy.
If you're watching the video series, you may be like, oh, I know what they're talking about.
So me and All Day are gonna do some drinking again. Like he said, we've pre-chosen this bowl because it's one that was already been opened, and we are going to endeavor to enjoy.
Yeah, and it's a bottle that doesn't exist anywhere else in the bar. There are no unopened versions of this bottle, and in fact, this particular bottle is difficult to find an unopened version anywhere on this planet.
And I'm going to crank over the little toy and say, hey, is there a story behind this?
Well, there is a story behind this bottle, and I think it would originate with our friend and teammate S1BE6. Be good to have him here and act out how he does it.
Very much so.
We can throw bottles at him just like at Jilly's Pub.
Yep. Yeah. I will say that is probably the bravest little man I think I've ever seen in my life.
And I will come back for that episode just to watch you finish.
Yeah, that would be a great episode. Yeah.
So
make it so, Felix.
S1BE6 is a big Glenfiddich fan. I would hazard to say that he would order that before he would order any whiskey.
Oh.
It's his favorite.
That's his go-to.
Yeah. And so Glenfiddich, we've talked a little bit about Glenlivets and Glenfiddichs being Speysides and being pretty commonly available around the planet. Just about any bar you'll go into will have that at least as a Scotch option.
Yes.
And in fact, I think one of our early videos, Mal, we ended up opening one of the 2 bottles of Winter Storm because there were 2 releases. We opened up a Glenfiddich already in the series. I don't think we've opened a second one.
Not off the top of my head. I think we've gone around the different parts of Scotland. We haven't really actually just hit that area and hit it up pretty.
Yeah. So this particular Glenfiddich is, and one of these days we'll get a little better with the camera and zooming in on the bottles. But this is the Snow Phoenix. Okay, so the Snow Phoenix, if you guys don't remember, or you do, I'll tell the story though. The Snow Phoenix is a release of Glenfiddich in winter-spring 2010. And one of the things we know about whiskey aging is they produce a lot of casks of whiskey. All the distilleries do, and they'll set aside their whiskey in their barrels, and they'll put them in their finishing barrels. But essentially, they have to have warehouses to store these thousands of casks of whiskey for them to age for sometimes decades. Certainly at least 3 years to be a Scotch. And these warehouses can be pretty big.
So let's just for the viewers out there, I've never been to a distillery, even though I've been to Scotland, but I've never been to this. Mm-hmm. How big are we talking about when you talk about this warehouse?
I think we can be talking about football field size, pretty substantial.
All right.
Because, remember, if they're going to ship out product globally, right, and they're going to have a 10-year age process, just for their general release.
Stock.
Right, they have to have a lot of stock. And so most distilleries have multitudes of warehouses. And some will have them right along the seashore, especially when we start talking about the Islas. We haven't really pulled any Islas yet, but like a Lafrague or something will be right on the ocean pulling that salt air. So location of the warehouse matters as well.
Yes.
But they'll be big, and most distilleries will have many of them.
All right.
In order to keep their product moving. And actually, there have been times, and if we ever talk about the SCOPA 16, which I hope we do talk about,
I hope so too.
they ran out of it because the worldwide demand became so great that they actually didn't have any more ready to roll. So they had to release a new label without the 16-year-old on it because they didn't have any ready to go for that much product. So you start to think about, oh, they have it at my store in small town West Virginia, and they have it in my store in small town New Hampshire. Well, they also have it in Japan, they have it in India, they have it all. So we can start to see how much whiskey they have to have set up in warehouses. Make sense?
Yep. That's thanks.
Okay. So the Snow Phoenix in the winter, early spring of 2010. Oh, let's drink a beer time. In the winter or spring 2010, it was particularly snowy in Scotland. And Glenfiddich is a Speyside, but that's a little bit in the northern regions. Not as far north as the Highland, but still it's pretty up there. And it snowed a lot that winter. And what happened, and I don't keep much packaging around the bar, and you're not going to be able to make this out. But this is the packaging for the Snow Phoenix. And here is an actual image taken from a photograph from inside the warehouse where the roof collapsed due to snow weight. And they felt that one of the images they saw was a phoenix rising. But it wasn't a desert fire phoenix, it was a snow phoenix. And so this is actually an image of the roof collapsed in one of their warehouses.
Interesting.
And so Glenfiddich suddenly found themselves in a circumstance because now they have elements and weather to contend with. Oak is a breathing material. The wood is now being exposed in ways they don't intend for their aging and their consistency processes. So they suddenly find that they have to address this particular warehouse, which has this aged, that aged, finished in this cask, finished in that cask. It's all being stored in the same warehouses. They just have them labeled as, oh, this and that and the other thing. And suddenly this particular warehouse found itself compromised. So their distiller, their master distiller, said, well, let me try some of this and try some of that. And he took all these single malts and he created a blend from Glenfiddich single malts of different ages and different finishes. Now, this was a business decision because they didn't want to lose all this product that had spent many years aging. And it was an opportunity to create a one-off, very unique product. And that product became the release known as Snow Phoenix. It's just a one-off.
And for people like us, that means it's a win-win situation. Hey, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So it's a pretty dark bottle. So it's really difficult to talk about color till we see it in the glass. We have drank this several times. We're down to about here in the bottle. So over the course of the next year, and at some point we'll talk a little bit about why when you start to get down into this region, it's time to start thinking about finishing the bottle with your friends.
Which we have done.
So tonight we're going to try a little bit of the Snow Phoenix. This is 47.6% alcohol. This is they don't discuss age on this one because it's a multitude of ages and a multitude of finishes. So all we know is it's the Snow Phoenix from 2010 when the roof caved in.
So basically they just grabbed it, they poured it into a barrel, they let it sit, and
they said a little bit more of this one. Yeah. And we'll charge a little bit extra for it because it's
You'll never get it again.
Yeah, you never get it again.
And we can make a really nice tin box.
Now, right, they've got a nice presentation case. One of the things I recall about this, Glenfiddich has a very distinctive taste. I'm not suggesting it's potent or anything, I'm just suggesting that oftentimes when you drink a Glenfiddich, regardless of the age statement, unless you're finished in something very potent, like the pale ale cask, you generally know you're drinking a Glenfiddich. And my recollection is this is no different.
No. In the sense that you know it's a Glenfiddich.
Correct. Not in a negative sense.
No.
Just that, oh, it's a Glenfiddich.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, Mal. You ready?
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
I'm going to grab it. No,
You see a little spray? I
It was a little spray, but not that we all
No,
had. It was nice
because the
nice and
volume's
gentle.
getting a little lower.
Nice and gentle.
Let's see if you want to take a Little nose. And here's we're going to get our what we see for color out of this. Ooh, a little bit extra for me. Guess I'll do it for the boys.
That's a nice note too. This is the first time I've tried this. So.
Oh, so you haven't had
I've
this
not
before?
had this one yet.
This is not the jump ahead.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out how it's sat in the bottle. But it's so this bottle was purchased for this bar in about 2010, perhaps 2011, but certainly around the time it was released.
Yeah. Did this one come up for New Year's? Did it come up for New Year's? Was it Memorial Day?
I'm not sure if this is a New Year's bottle or not. It certainly could have been opened around a New Year's time. I'm sure it was for something. Maybe it was Thursday.
Okay, so nice smell.
Yeah.
You know, just a very, very like easy.
Yeah.
You can smell a little bit of
Nice and
sweetness.
fruity.
Nice and fruity. Just very nice.
I pick up on what I expect from a Glenfiddich, and a Space Side at the same.
Yep.
Slightly darker in gold, but not brown. So for me, this feels consistent front to back. The nose tastes the way I thought it would taste, and the finish ends the way I thought it would end. It feels sweet with just the smallest amount of heat here, but it goes away quick.
Yeah, very similar. If I was to package this into a statement, I would say you're absolutely correct in the sense that you taste this from the very beginning to the very end, and this is what it is. Just like we've said, and this is like, I'll bring this out, and it's probably something that we say, or at least I will say, not often, but enough to be like, okay, that's a catchphrase that he uses all the time. This is one of those ones where you can tell, you get that sweetness taste, it goes back across you, the next thing you know, a little heat right to about here,
Yeah.
and that's about it.
And then it dissipates.
Yeah, and it's not really, what's the word? Not super sweet.
It's not candied.
Nope, and it's definitely not super warm at the base.
No coating on the teeth
Nope.
of sugar. Sometimes you'll get that. Did either of you guys experience, and not butter in the sense of butter flavor, but a little bit of creaminess? Because my second sip, I really felt like I experienced some creaminess.
I would say it's maybe not cream is the word I'm looking for, but richness.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
you feel like this is rolling over your tongue. It's not something that's like a very,
Consistency.
yeah.
Definitely got some consistency to it.
It's not like very, very thin.
No, it's not thin. I agree with you. I agree with you.
It's something that you could hold in your mouth and just like roll around in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just going to just disappear when you gulp it.
Yep.
It stays with you, but it's almost like an even coating. Like if you're coating the bar or something like that, you get this very even coat. Straight across.
It's almost as if
palate.
it's self-leveling.
Correct.
Right. It finds itself and maintains.
Yes. And then when it goes down, you pick up a little heat, and that's it.
Yeah.
Then you're ready for your next sip. That's what.
I don't feel it's as drastic as some scotches where you smell something on one when you smell it, you taste something totally different, and
Right.
the finish is totally different.
Right.
This is going back to what you said at the beginning. You smell it, you get that kind of flavor you expect, and then you taste it, and that's what you expect, and then it just goes away, and you're ready for another drink.
Right. You know, and this is probably one of the hallmarks of Glenfiddich, and I would suggest why our friend Felix really likes Glenfiddich. And I said this when we tried the Winter Storm too, and it wasn't a criticism, and I know it came across a little bit at first as if one, but it is, Glenfiddichs are very predictable,
Yes.
right? You are going to get what you're going to get, and it's just a matter of understanding what bottle you're drinking out of, and that's what you're going to experience, and it smells, tastes, and finishes the way that it seems like it should.
And just to back up the statement that you just said, you do in that family of Glenfiddichs, including this one, including the one that we drink, including the 12, the 21, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a distinct taste for each one of those. However, that group of tastes is all in that same sort of realm.
It's all built on the Glenfiddich
Correct.
taste, right? Which I would suggest is probably all built upon the 12-year-old,
Very much so.
right? And then finished differently as it goes along.
Right.
Which I think in another episode down the road would be something we can touch on, because there's let's just quickly just go to this. There are families of scotches. You know, there are distilleries that push out multiple lines, which are all based off the same family. You know,
Right.
it's like having an extended family. This is a cousin here, a nephew here, but you're all part of the same family. And Glenfiddich, it probably out of all of them, is one of those ones where you can say that's a Glenfiddich.
Yeah. Regardless of how you finished it, regardless of how long it's been aged, I can taste your origin.
Yes.
Right. And again, and distilleries, take a lot of pride in their distillation process and the shape and size of their still. And we should talk about that at some point too.
Right.
But there is a lot of unique qualities to the shape and size of the stills, which they would argue, and I would not disagree, contribute to the flavor of the spirit that they produce. And then they take that spirit and add it to the casks, and it's then in that wood aging process that and so they're very particular, right?
Develop a different taste, or
Yeah.
send it a slightly different area, which is the one thing about Scotch I think that everybody will agree with, and I hope that that's something that we bring across, that there are subtle differences between drinks. Subtle differences. You know, it really is like from start to finish, you can taste the subtleness.
Mhm.
It's not often you get like a big bang, but when you do,
Yeah.
most of the time it's because of this process that you've talked about. It's what we've done to enhance our product, to say, hey, look, this is where we're sending this one.
I mean, gentlemen, this is a really nice whiskey.
Oh, out now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you, but I don't know if I'm able to do anything with this because it's so enjoyable.
I think I'm actually going to have a piece of chocolate.
You give me a chocolate. Every time I think chocolate, you go,
did
you
you
go,
have
oh,
chocolate?
cheese.
Did you
Oh,
have
I'm going to have cheese this time.
I'm the cheese.
I don't,
It's like I should
I don't
be
win with this.
Packers
I don't win
fan.
with this. I don't deal with this rubbish. I just like to drink. But no.
gotta
I
have
thought you were going to go with cheese. I'm like, oh, he's going to go with cheese. Maybe I'll say cheese. But go ahead.
You're going to
All
have
right.
cheese?
No, I'm not going to have cheese.
You're going to have chocolate?
I'm going to have chocolate.
Give Chatty Matty a piece of chocolate.
It's crazy. I hate this stuff. I hate this rubbish. Like, just let's drink.
Yeah.
But
I think this is going to go well with this.
very much so. Glenfiddich is one of my favorites, but it's also one of those ones that you do happen to see on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And just for that fact alone, makes it very stand out. If you mention Scotch, hey, what do you drink? Most people will say the 12,
Yeah.
you know?
Commonly available. Before I lose this chocolate in my mouth, I'm going to take a swallow.
Well, like you said before, predictable is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean,
Right. Don't receive that word as a criticism.
Right, you like predictability. Sometimes you want something that's, you don't know what you're getting. But then a lot of times you want something, you like, I like this and I want to try something a little different, but you have that predictability of, you know it's going to be good, you know what to expect
Right.
to a
I can
certain
order
point,
it
and you like a
in
little bit of,
Nepal,
you're a
and-
little bit of extra,
yeah.
but you don't want it to be totally off
Like,
what you think
why did I
it's
just
gonna
waste
be.
$100 on
Right,
this?
right.
Well, we talked about, I'm going to talk about this chocolate in just a second. Well, we talked about in the last bonus episode, the Edwardauer, and being such a small distillery that they find inconsistencies between their batches. Whereas this Glenfiddich, it's a problem that they run into less often. Their consistency is actually something that is assisting them.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and that's what they're known for as well. I mean,
Yeah.
Then you
it's
have a
not like
base
you
to
get-
try something else on.
Right, then you
Right.
can build upon it,
Right.
right? And I'll talk a little bit, I know a little bit about the Glenmorangie consistency, and at some point I'll talk about how they do their casking and how they achieve as well a base flavor, and then they build upon it.
So, to get back on point,
But the chocolate,
all right, so I'm going to tell you this. I loved what it did for the front end of this drink.
Mhm.
Absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It sort of made it that more of that creaminess, more
Okay.
of that,
Yeah.
that ability to freaking just coat the tongue. However, I did not like what happened at the end of it. I think it brought a little bit of that bitterness out for me. And I didn't, it may have been just the chocolate,
yep.
but I just felt like the end was a little bit of a letdown compared to the way the beginning started.
I'm going to jump on the end conversation of Mal and say I felt like the chocolate may have been a little too strong. the bitterness in the chocolate may have overpowered some of the smoothness of the whiskey. And so that I found myself tasting more of the chocolate, trying to find the whiskey at the end.
Actually, that's interesting. That's actually a good way of putting that. Because maybe that's what I'm actually going through. But I will say, like I said, the beginning of that was almost like someone put like some butter on it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is great. But the end of it was just like, ooh, where was the good part?
Where am I?
was that
Where
good
am I?
part?
What's happening here? Chatty Matty, any thoughts on the chocolate?
I think I agree with what Mal said at the beginning. I liked it better at the front end
Yep.
after I had the chocolate than I did at the back.
Yeah.
I mean, it did change it a little bit for me, but I think it brought out a little bit more of the bitterness, whether it was the bitterness in the chocolate or bitterness in the scotch. Just, it was a little more bitter for me after I had that. But like I say, like Mal said, creamier on the front end of it, for sure. I agree with that.
If somebody said with or without chocolate, I would say without chocolate.
I would agree with
Hands
that.
down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah. And I don't have any need to discuss water or ice with this
No,
whiskey.
and it's
No.
good. Like I said,
Yeah.
it was great for me without anything. But
Yeah.
it's good to try things differently, so you know
Yeah.
whether you like
This
it
will
or not.
go. This I will say will go probably on the shelf that I think me and you could sit down and just drink this all day long and not worry about it.
All day.
All day.
Okay.
So let's bring this to the end. I think this has been a great episode.
And this was our bonus episode with the Snow Phoenix, the Glenfiddich 2010 release when
Thank
the
you,
roof caved
Umba.
in. So again, we'll wrap it up. And today we're going to go to Serbia.
We are going to Serbia, and good luck with this one.
Yeah. Okay. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Zvili.
Zvili.